Alright, I think I'm back up, y'all. Okay. Alright, it looks like I'm back up. I got hit by lightning over here at headquarters. And everything in the house went dark except for the weather setup, thanks to our Patreon people. And now I've got feedback, which is a whole lot of fun. So let me go ahead and mute that. Okay. So this severe thunderstorm is producing. Everything in the house went dark except for the weather setup, thanks to our Patreon people. Wow, this feedback loop is fun. So this severe thunderstorm is producing. Okay, I think we fixed the feedback. All right, let's keep going. Okay. Okay, I think we fixed the feedback. All right, let's keep going. All right, well, never mind the feedback problem. We've got this severe thunderstorm right here. There's not a tornado problem with it. It's got mostly some straight line winds that are running about 40 miles an hour or so, but each little dot, kind of hard to see. Let me switch here. All these white dots are cloud to ground lightning strikes. It's now moving into Nolensville. This storm is going to move into Laverne here pretty soon, and then Antioch, and then off into Smyrna. There we go. And as this thing moves, moving about 70 miles an hour, it's going to be in Nolensville here in a hot minute. We've got some hail associated with it. Right now, it looks like it's near Belchase Farms, Burke Hollow, and heading into Nolensville. It looks like it's, according to the radar, under an inch in size. But some of the reports we got back when this thing came in through Thompson Station, over here by Independence High School, I got a text from a friend of mine who lives over in this area, and he's got some hail that's definitely severe hail. It looks like probably quarter size to a little bit bigger than that. And this is the hail core that has moved into College Grove. Y'all should be seeing hail now if you're not already, as that storm has moved off. But as you can see, the radar just updated. This thing is moving so quickly, it's hard to stay in front of it. It looks like the hail core now is right along the border on the eastern side of Williamson County, in Nolensville, and then down into where 840 moves into Rutherford County here, kind of on the other side of the castle. If you're familiar with where that is where the hailstorms are. Nothing is rotating. We are under a tornado watch, which means conditions are favorable for the formation of tornadoes, but we're on the far northern side of that watch. And this is the only storm we think that can cause a problem. And if you remember, we were tweeting about this earlier today. There were indications that what we call a boundary had set up, and that the storms like to ride the boundary. And this is exactly kind of where we thought it would be, where that purple line was. And because the area to the north of that purple line, which would be up here near Brentwood and into Nashville, and then of course into East Nashville and Jolton, Fontenelle, all those places, because they're on the north side of the boundary, y'all up there are going to have more stable air. So any storms that roll in are going to be elevated, and elevated usually is a bad thing, but here it just means that the storms are not tapping that really rich surface moisture in order to cause a significant event, which is why all of the really bad stuff, all the lightning that you see here, is down to the south of the boundary. Now, that doesn't mean there can't be storms. These storms are sitting kind of above the surface, but they can't be as powerful because they aren't tapping the rich surface moisture. Down here near Nolensville, we're getting dew points probably near 60, and up here we're in the mid 50s. There's just not enough energy for the system to tap as it goes forward. We got another storm kind of behind it. I'll go ahead and put this in motion for you. Over in Linden, let's see. I'm getting all sorts of notifications. This is fun when Andrew doesn't do these. This storm here also producing lightning, but what's going to end up happening is it's going to run across the areas where these other storms have been, and they're going to use up all of the fuel, and there's not going to be any fuel left for the storm over here near Lobelville to tap. And so that's what's going to be happening now. I know let's switch over here to the Midtown cam. If you look over here in downtown, this looks north. This is the camera angle that we had from the big tornado from March of last year. It looks ominous, but this is, again, on the northern side of the boundary. We don't think it's possible for a tornado to occur here. This area is not in the tornado watch. So those of you in East Nashville who experienced a tornado, I don't think we need to be worried about that, even though you're probably hearing the thunder and lightning. That thunder and lightning is passing to your south, as we can see here, is moving very quickly into Creve Hall and into Antioch. Nothing here is rotating, and what we do is we look at various things here on the dual pole radar. The first thing is we look for hail, and that's what this is, and we're getting kind of close to the radar, so it's difficult for the radar to determine exactly how high these tops are, so sometimes these hail icons go away, but it looks like the hail core has mostly now moved closer to Murfreesboro and closer to Smyrna and Rutherford County, and is no longer going to be a threat to anybody in Williamson County or into southeast Davidson County. The other thing we look for when we're looking at radar is there anything rotating? So here we don't see any of those, what we call the gate-to-gate shears, which was when you have wind that's moving away from the radar and wind that's moving towards the radar, very close together. All of this, these are green returns, so the wind is all moving the same way. Red means it's moving away, and I see Andrew texting me. Green means the wind's moving toward the radar, so green indicates that all this wind is rushing in towards the radar site, which is up here at Old Hickory at the National Weather Service office. So there's nothing rotating, and that's a good thing. And other things we look at here is called normalized rotation, which takes samples of whether or not the atmosphere is rotating aloft. And this does not look to be co-located with anything of concern. And then we look at correlation coefficient, which is a measure of whether or not things in the atmosphere are the same or are different. And here, like in Burke Hollow, we're getting a few indications of dissimilar objects in the air. That's probably an indication of hail. Raindrops look different to radar than hailstones do. And when two things next to each other hit a radar beam, they often say, well, these things are dissimilar, so we get lower correlation coefficient scores, which gives us confidence there's probably some small hail still falling near Burke Hollow as it moves out to Nolensville. So not really worried about that either. So we still have, by the way, this boundary, right? That it's just kind of laid across and cutting across Williamson County that these storms are riding on. And it looks like the boundary is going to allow these torrential downpours to continue to come in. But this storm over here is really not a concern out near Lobelville or near Linden as it moves towards Fairview. Excuse me. And it'll continue to ride up I-40 here for the next couple of hours. The boundary may be trying to lift, and so one of the things we can do is go back and look at the surface observations, kind of get an idea of whether or not the boundary that these storms like to ride on is lifting to the north, and it just doesn't look like it is. If we turn off the radar data, we can see, actually tell it to stop dancing. We can see that at Nashville, the dew point's 54, which is north of the boundary. And at John C. Tune, it's also 54. But it's 61 over here in Dixon. So maybe these storms can accommodate and tap some of this energy that's kind of sitting just to the south of I-40. But again, I really think the worst of these storms is going to pass by here in the next couple of minutes. This severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, is until, let's see, we got a tornado watch till 1 a.m. And I'm not really worried about the tornado watch. I think this is the big storm of the night. And at 6:39, I think our watch will probably get canceled long before. That watch, by the way, moves into a significant part of the southeast. It is. Let's see if I can pull it in here for you. Yeah, that the tornado watch that we're on the northern edge of runs all the way down to Jackson, Mississippi, and then across to Tuscaloosa, includes Birmingham, up to Huntsville, and includes us. So it looks like this will be the main event for us tonight. Is this little severe thunderstorm that's coming in. And man, it's moving. This last update here said it's moving at 75 miles an hour, which is a lot. Okay, let's see. Let me refresh my National Weather Service chat, which I got knocked off of when the cloud-to-ground lightning strike hit the house, or it did hit the house. It hit somewhere near the house. And it looks like the Weather Service says we've got a storm near Lobelville that's rotating. Okay, what's this one right here? So Weather Service is keeping an eye now on this storm. I think we probably should stay with it just for a little bit and see what happens with it. Of course, anytime a storm is rotating, you're not always worried about tornado. It can sometimes be a hailstorm with a rotating updraft is certainly a problem, and we want to be sure that this thing doesn't develop into anything. Not seeing anything too particularly concerning right now as we run it back and forth, try to get an idea of how it's moving. Let's see here. Yeah, it looks okay for now. Looks like the rotation is broad, and when we're doing radar analysis, we always want to look and see, all right, well, am I looking at the same point? This it might be hard to see, but there's this little square, and this square is in the same place on all four images. So we're making sure that when we're looking at one point, we're also looking at the corresponding point. And these winds coming out of the storm at 6,000 feet are almost 90 miles an hour. But they don't appear to be tornado winds. But the storm could wrap up a little bit and try to do something a little nefarious. Let's take a look here at the mesoanalysis and get an idea of what our atmosphere is looking like. According to it, we are just about out of CAPE, and if you read the blog this morning or been following along today on Twitter, CAPE is a measure of instability, and the question was, would we have enough instability for this to turn into a bad storm? And it looks like we had just enough to make us a hailstorm, but gosh, I don't know where the instability is going to come to create a tornado from this storm right here near Lobelville, but we'll stay with it. Looks like the Weather Service has just canceled the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's take a look at the details on that. They just posted at 6:41. The severe thunderstorm, which prompted the warning, has moved out of the warned area. So this tornado, the severe thunderstorm warning right here, this polygon will come down here at the next update. So, and there it goes, right there. So now we are no longer severe warned anywhere. And Will's telling me I can pull down the YouTube Live, which is what I'll do. So I apologize for that hiccup. We never lost connectivity. Will was on Twitter the whole time. And then when I get hit, our surge protector saved us and I stayed online, but the internet service provider went down briefly, which is what caused my stream to go down briefly. So thanks for hanging with us. If we do get another warning, we'll be back here on YouTube Live. You'll hear from me, and we'll just keep an eye on the storm out here near Lobelville. I'm not really worried about it, but Weather Service says it might be rotating, so we'll just keep an eye on it. And you can go ahead and stop listening to my voice and hearing my broadcast, and we'll switch over to Twitter and handle things there. Y'all have a good night. Stay safe.